Hey everybody, how's it going? In today's video, I'm going to be diving into and dissecting the philosophy of the Riddler in Matt Reeves' The Batman. Personally, I love Batman just as a character, but something that makes his comics, films, and shows stand out so strongly are his antagonists. They tend to be so rich with opposite and or mirrored philosophies that our caped crusader holds, and they often reflect current societal issues and in some ways represent a neglected public. This makes them immensely more entertaining and interesting than most comic adapted villains we see today. Now, to me, what makes them so compelling is the fact that they often make remarks or arguments that have truth in them. Batman, or Bruce Wayne, is a rich-born prince of Gotham, and often his antagonists were just normal working-class people who were pushed too hard by the system. And it's for that reason I think we as an audience often appeal more to and understand the villains than we do Bruce. Which leads me to Matt Reeves, the Riddler, who is played by Paul Dano. I'm sure a lot more people can understand and relate to his story of being a neglected orphan, chewed up, and then spat out by the very system that was created to take care of him. Granted, many can probably relate to Batman and his being an orphan too, but I don't know about you, I don't think many orphans are left with mansions, a dope-ass butler, estates, and almost endless wealth. Now, I'm not saying that Batman is a shallow character, not at all. It's this exact dynamic of a rich man learning and understanding the middle and lower class worlds that makes his character so rich. And Matt Reeves explores it better than anyone I've ever seen. But tragically, the Riddler has a story that's definitely more akin to events we see in our own reality today. So let's dive into the Riddler and see what conditions drove him to develop his philosophy, and maybe see what parts of it are actually kind of based. Now, after watching the film repeatedly, something I love about it are its religious undertones. The film has the darkest, hauntingly gothic style of any Batman film I've ever seen. The funeral building, the skyscrapers, even Bruce's mansion looks like a place you'd find Count Orlok. Now, Batman has always been a gothic character due to the vampirism reflected by how Bruce is a nocturnal creature that lives in the shadows. But I just love how far they take it in this film. Like, we see Bruce putting on sunglasses in his own house during the day because his eyes just can't handle the light due to his nocturnal lifestyle. Like, that's just such a nice little detail. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because Gothic architecture, art, and literature is mostly Catholic, and Catholic undertones are all over this movie. Where else is it? Well, obviously the biggest one I'd say would be the Riddler's relation to the Catholic prayer Ave Maria that plays multiple times throughout the film. The film opens not with Giacchino's new heroic Batman score, but instead with a haunting rendition of this prayer for sinners and the faithful. It plays as the Riddler watches the corrupt mayor through some binoculars. We see he has a wife and son, but this doesn't stop the Riddler from delivering him to judgment. The Riddler continues throughout the film to use other Catholic or at least religious dialogue. For example, he says things like, "Our day of judgment," "the sins of Gotham." He considers himself some kind of instrument to purge and cleanse the city in a similar way of Yahweh of the Old Testament. Now, it's never explicitly stated, but he does believe he's on a higher moral authority, almost like some kind of prophet or agent of God, and just going off the fact that he wants to purify Gotham with a flood reflects more biblical ties similar to the relationship between Elohim and Noah in Genesis. In his rhetoric against Bruce Wayne and his father, he says, "The sins of the father shall be visited upon the son," which is a very Catholic idea of original sin that was turned into full systemic doctrine by St. Augustine himself. His theme is a rendition of Ave Maria, and there's a part in the film where he literally sings the song out loud. Now, I always thought that it added such an eerie feeling to his character, but only recently did I want to understand why he sang that song specifically. Now, it's important to understand his background. His real name is Edward Nashton, and we know he was raised in horrible conditions. Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, started a renewal fund to help out the city, including the Catholic orphanage named after St. Swithin's. And after he died, the cops, mobsters, and politicians basically stole all the money, and the orphanage fell apart. Edwards describes children freezing to death and babies dying, so yeah, I assume it was pretty awful conditions. And we can imagine the taste left in his mouth when he saw the entire city and world news mourn for the now orphaned Bruce Wayne while he and his fellow orphans suffered. I imagine since Catholic orphanages often have choirs and Ave Maria is a very standard and popular piece, he probably sang the song as a child. So I think we can safely assume he probably sings the song to reinforce his worldview by reminding him of the injustices he faced as a young boy, and what he's doing is in some way divine. But I could also see all his religious rhetoric as being somewhat satirical and sarcastic, almost as if he says it out of spite to show that religion or God, or Mother Mary for that matter, never helped him either. The lyrics of Ave Maria translated to English say, "Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mother Mary of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. The pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death was added later during the plague, which may be symbolic of how Riddler views the corruption of Gotham. Now, all the childhood trauma definitely caused some mental issues. Couple that with the fact that he probably was taught Catholic doctrine on the side, we can see how he may have developed a very skewed, childish way of thinking that caused him to see in very black and white manners for the rest of his life. Matt Reeves himself said that he acts like a 10-year-old boy. It seems the Riddler has assumed the role of a judge more akin to the Old Testament, one void of mercy. Now, listen guys, I know what you're thinking. How the hell is this dude based? I know this is all bad and I don't condone any of it, and I'll get to the parts of his ethics and actions I somewhat could maybe agree with soon. Now, does all this mean the Riddler is a heavily devout Catholic who sees himself as some kind of crusader or prophet called by God to purge the lands? I'm not sure. I think the point of all the Catholic undertones is to 1, illustrate his tragic upbringing, and 2, display how he interprets the world around him. I think many fail to understand religious ideas or thinking can bleed into how people interact and process ideas due to the heavy cultural impact religion can have on us regardless of whether we believe in it or not. Nobody is immune to the bias of a culturally adopted ideology. So we know Catholicism, coupled with heavy abuse at a young age, has heavily impacted the Riddler's way of thinking, which how could it not? He sees everything in absolutes when it comes to criminals, corruption, and the innocent. I'd say with his black and white thinking and the Catholic influences, as well as his obsession with riddles and puzzles, that he's a radical moral absolutist and intellectual elitist. Now, moral absolutism is the ethical belief that certain actions are intrinsically right or wrong regardless of the context or consequences, that humanity is subjugated to universal unchanging principles that apply to all people in all situations. It differs from consequentialism, where the morality of an act depends on its outcome, and also moral relativism, which is the belief that morality is subjective to cultural or individual influence. To the Riddler, you are either intrinsically good or bad, dumb or smart. He sees the elite as intellectually inept and subjugates them to horrific puzzles to free themselves from death if they can solve his riddles, which is just another way to say he humiliates them publicly before killing them to reveal their crimes. You are either on his side or against him. Now, let me give you an example of his absolutist thinking. Throughout the film, the Riddler believes he is similar to Batman and that both are on the same mission to be rid of corruption and crime in Gotham. The Riddler believes all the rich and all the politicians and all the gangs are evil and need to be exterminated. The clues he leaves for the Batman he struggles to decipher because they are made for a middle-class man. Phrases in Spanish, carpeting tools, etc., things that the middle or lower class are familiar with, and things a billionaire orphan would have no clue about. To the Riddler, the Batman must be like him because he believes they're on the same side. To him, there is no universe where a billionaire would care about the middle and lower class. I think his breakdown near the end of the film, when he finds out Batman wasn't ever on his side, shows just how heavily he sees things in absolutist forms, and that when proven wrong, it causes him to literally break down. The ending really showcases his absolutist thinking when he blows up the city to flood it and be rid of evil once and for all. To him, Gotham equals a cesspool, so get rid of Gotham and let it drown. Alright, now again, I really don't think any of this is quote-unquote based, but let's actually get into the aspects of his actions I could get behind. First and foremost, when it comes to his critiques on politics and the current system we live under, I hate to break it to you guys, but he's not wrong. Corruption and crime in politics has been rampant, especially since the 1960s, and I'm definitely at a point of questioning what exactly our government and politicians actually do besides exploit their positions of power to acquire more influence and money. Seems the benefit of the people is the last thing politicians have on their minds. What I'm trying to say is that if some dude in a hockey mask held some corrupt politicians hostage with info about who's on these damn Epstein files exposing the elite underworld of human trafficking through some whack-ass riddles, I don't know how mad I'd be, man. I don't know. Call me a freaking anarchist. With how much politicians and other elites get away with regarding the FBI, police, and especially the CIA, can we really even hope that these crimes will ever be brought to light? Is it time to abandon the system that has progressively worked less and less in favor of the people and gotten better and better at covering for the elite? I'm not saying how the Riddler handles these issues is correct in any way, but I'm asking why we still have faith in a system that consistently shows less and less interest in us. Do you really think the justice system applies to those in power? You think you have a say in policies or decisions made by government? You really think if we catch all the bad guys red-handed in their corruption, the justice system will actually do its job and deliver justice? Both the Riddler, an antagonist, and Batman, our Caped Crusader, believe more needs to be done to ensure the swamp is drained. But where I disagree with Batman and agree with the Riddler is that the Batman still has faith that the system can deliver, whereas the Riddler does not. I've listed already how the Riddler thinks in absolutes to a point of damnation. However, sometimes absolutist thinking can be very useful when gathering a public to awareness and behind a common cause. I don't think I'm being absurd when I say we have a serious issue with corruption in our political policies, both foreign and sovereign. And I'd say if you think this is a problem that the FBI or CIA will solve for us and it's out of your hands or control, you really need to do some research, and it's that exact complacent thinking that's let these elites gain so much power over us in the first place. Right now, the government isn't scared of the people it's governing. And when that's the norm, corruption and exploitation will always follow. Now listen, I hate to agree with the things this psychotic Redditor puts down, but the Riddler is a character that represents you, the people under the foot of the elite. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see other videos like this, please subscribe. Me and my fellow co-hosts Mason and Dane try to make 2 to 3 of these essays a month, so if you don't want to miss out on future content, please subscribe. We appreciate and love all of you guys so much. Have a good one.